Hi, my name is Kyle, and I'd like to discuss my analysis of what I think each companion's alignment is in Baldur's Gate 3. For the sake of this video, I will only be discussing companions that are currently recruitable in early access at the time of me writing the script for this video, that being Shadowheart, Lae'zel, Astarion, Gale, and Will. Although you can meet Karlach in-game currently, I will not be discussing her alignment because we do not currently have the tool we need to figure out her alignment. This tool is the approval system. The approval system is the main way I will be examining each companion's alignment, as what they approve or disapprove of is very telling of who they are as a person. For those who haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet, the game has a system for tracking each companion's opinion on you based on the actions you take in-game. If you do something that they like, you'll get a message saying that they approved, and if you do something that they dislike, you'll get a message saying they disapproved. The vast majority of dialogue options do not have any changes in approval, but the ones that do are very telling of the party member's alignment. For example, a companion who approves of helping innocents with their problems, even if it means putting yourself at risk, can be assumed to be a fairly selfless person. Likewise, someone who not only approves of watching a little girl get killed by a snake, but actively disapproves if you save her, can be assumed to be nowhere near good morally. I won't be looking into every nuance of the approval system, as some companions approve or disapprove of things that are unrelated to their alignment. For example, Shadowheart disapproving if you ever agree with Lae'zel.
Fool. No point in showing a mad dog kindness, it'll still bite you in the end.
For the sake of this video, I've edited my save file to allow a larger party size, so that every companion approval values show up all at once. All gameplay footage is from patch 7.
No disciplined mind would stoop to crime. No disciplined criminal would dare be caught.
Let's start with a companion whose alignment is hands down the easiest to narrow down. Lae'zel is definitely lawful evil, as all of her actions show her as looking through the world from the perspective of someone who dutifully follows the regulations of a ruthless, conquering society. Everything she approves and disapproves of shows her as being one of the more ruthless and cruel companions alongside Astarion. Additionally, she shows no respect for criminals, specifically criminals who are caught.
She was caught. Foolish child. Let them judge her.
As she disapproves if you save Arabelle from Kaga, approves if you silently watch Kaga kill her, and approves again if you tell her you're protecting your own, sometimes cruelty is necessary. The evil and lawful evil is definitely emphasized in her approving of far more senselessly cruel actions. For example, telling these tiefling children that they're all going to die.
Good job.
Or roaring at this terrified man who thinks you're a mind flayer.
For mind dripping, flesh peeling, mind flayer! No, I'm sorry.
What's more, she disapproves of acts of mercy, and her complaints if you do so seem to suggest she sees it as weakness.
Your soft heart will be the death of us.
The lawful side of this comes into place as examining her actions in the context of Githyanki society, as Lae'zel's dialogue and our own interactions with the squad of Githyanki in-game showed that they are ruthless conquerors who prefer to subjugate others through force.
And they didn't cut you from navel to neck. Well, perhaps they were otherwise occupied.
This is also evident in Lae'zel's approval, as she always approves of shows of strength and prowess in battle, whether that be minor shows of strength by teaching Gwex how to use a sword.
Like this, you mean? Step, strike! Yes!
Or choosing to attack others when in conflict with them when diplomacy is an option. Acts of explicit insubordination will also be a very easy way to earn her disapproval, as it is clear she sees herself as the one in charge of the party.
The last time a subordinate questioned my judgment, I ate tongue stew that very night.
And likewise, approves if you follow her lead, or otherwise defers to her judgment.
Let us move quickly and find this Zoru. He will point us to a creche. Then lead the way. You fit in here more than I.
So if you want to ruthlessly slaughter your way through the entirety of the goblin camp, you can rest assured Lae'zel will support you every step of the way.
I have seen the Kithraki tear a screaming Neogi's legs from its belly to fashion into blades, yet they could not match your nerve today. It was enough to drive me to madness.
All I want is a little fun. Is that so much to ask?
Astarion is by far the single most selfish and cruel companion we're able to recruit in early access, even more so than Lae'zel, thus making him easy to pin down as chaotic evil. Agree to help most people, for any reason, and he'll disapprove.
Really? We're messengers now?
Additionally, he approves of almost every senselessly cruel option in-game, whether that be stealing the magic ring from a child in a grove.
Hey, hold on, you gotta pay for that! Fine, keep it.
And he disapproves if you choose not to torture the innocent man in the goblin camp, even if you're threatening to torture the goblin torturer instead.
You're one of that bad, eh?
Even more telling, if you stand back and watch Arabella die, you can have a few options when talking to Kaga afterwards. If you tell Kaga she's a monster, or she was just protecting her own, he'll have no opinion. But if you tell her you were just enjoying the show, he'll approve.
Monsters both, then? Viper to viper.
The more chaotic side of things is evident in the fact he lacks the level of pragmatism that Lae'zel and Shadowheart have.
Oh, you're not going to eviscerate him? I was hoping for a show.
Cool your blood. I'll indulge you soon enough.
Additionally, he's the only companion who is completely dissatisfied with saving the tieflings, as even the other two evil companions are generally okay with this outcome.
You know, I never pictured myself as a hero. I hate it. This is awful.
It's clear he's simply out to enjoy himself, and will ignore common sense and the objections of every other companion if it means he can have a little fun, or even more importantly, means he can gain even more power. This is evident when the party learns the true nature of the illithid tadpoles inside their head, as Astarion is the only member who insists they keep using them regardless of the consequences. He is also the only companion who will approve if you state you'll keep using them, and the only one who disapproves if you refuse to give in to the temptation these powers provide. So in a way, Astarion is like that one party member of a real D&D group who derails the party's plans with his antics.
Yes, and I thought you weren't any fun.
You chose well. We have enough burdens as it is without taking on more.
Moving on to the more complicated companions, Shadowheart is the last of the three evil companions, as neutral evil. However, she leans far more neutral due to her focus on her own safety and that of the safety of the party. She'll usually be the one to approve if you tell someone, "No, I have my own problems," and has reactions of varying disapproval to helping others with their problems. If agreeing to help someone will put you in danger, like with agreeing to help Marina's brother save her from Ethel, she'll disapprove.
Are you joking? I ain't got a clue who you are.
If it won't put you in danger, like agreeing to talk to Kaga on Zevor's behalf, she won't disapprove, but she'll usually complain.
Let's not forget why we're here. No point in wasting precious time on a lost cause.
The most important moral choices Shadowheart will approve or disapprove of you making aren't based on good or evil like the other companions, but instead based on pragmatism. A very clear example of this is her reactions to how you handle the goblin camp. She won't care if you decide to kill the 3 goblin leaders on Halsin's behalf, but she will care how you do it.
That's a bigger fight than we needed to pick. Not the subtlest of assassins, are you?
The clearest example is if you decide to bring Halsin with you, then change your mind when he tells you you'll have to slaughter the entire goblin camp. Shadowheart will always approve of this, even if she's not in the party. The evil half of her alignment, however, is apparent in that she does have a cruel and vengeful side to her, according to the approval system. She'll approve of telling this tiefling that her friend needs to be avenged.
Yes.
And also approves of throwing the goblin Saza under the bus when she attempts to get you killed by Minthar.
They didn't tell me nothing!
A liar as well as a fool.
as well as approving of most of the same acts of cruelty that Lae'zel and Astarion like. The evil in neutral evil, at least in Shadowheart's case, is still very subdued compared to Lae'zel and Astarion. While she approves of standing by and watching Arabella die, her dialogue afterwards shows she is absolutely horrified, and she even admonishes you if you tell her you're surprised she cares.
They killed a child for that. Let's get in and out of this place before any vipers decide to bare their fangs at us. Do you truly think I'm that callous? A young life snuffed out isn't easily shrugged off.
This is also apparent in that she never approves of the cruel dialogue options chosen against the children in the Grove, although she never disapproves either. She is also devastated if you decide to side with the goblins, although she tries to hide it as best as she can.
Why did killing those tieflings make me feel sick? I've killed in her name before. Why now? Why isn't the wine helping? Guilty? Ridiculous. What's that to be guilty for?
So while Shadowheart is evil to an extent, she ultimately is far more neutral than anything.
I think you'll find I've been showing ample concern for myself since the moment we met.
You ever felt so much hate it poisoned your blood?
These last two companions are the most complicated, and in Will's case, it's because he puts on a front. You would think from his actions in the Grove that he's a lawful good character, with him disapproving of every bit of cruelty that Lae'zel and Astarion approve of, but you can see a hint of this when dealing with the goblin Saza. He disapproves of saving her from the crossbow-wielding tiefling, and disapproves again both times after you let her out, once when you say you have a deal with her, and then again when you offer to lead her out of the Grove. He also shows immense satisfaction if you stand by and let the tiefling kill her.
Nice. She saved us the work of killing that goblin ourselves.
However, if you bring Will with you to meet this goblin in the Blighted Village, you start seeing Will's true nature.
Well, I'll be me old friend, Captain Failure.
You! Sing for me, Roach! Tell me everything you know!
Will becomes entirely focused on his own personal goals, that everything else becomes completely secondary, hence why I classified him as neutral, and not good. It becomes very clear when you ask Will, but what about the gnome tied to the windmill?
The gnome will survive. This cockroach comes first.
During the section of Act 1 we can play in Early Access, Will has 3 priorities. His fame, which he gains through helping innocents, his quest for vengeance against the goblins, which you can choose whether or not you'll help him with.
His warband butchered a village and gouged out my eye. He deserved to suffer.
And his desire to be released from his pact with his patron, Mizora. When you get to the goblin camp, this priority overrides everything else, even his desire to help others.
I'm not here for you. I'm here for the woman. I know you took her. Where is she? Where is Mizora?
And the chaotic side of him becomes very apparent in the goblin camp proper. When dealing with the goblin leaders, Will has a lot of overlap with Astarion and Lae'zel, preferring the direct brute force methods.
You would dare! Guards, to me!
Yes, give in to your bloodlust.
Heretic!
And the neutral side is shown once again when you meet the goblin torturer Spike. The goblin will tell Will that the only way he'll learn where Mizora is if he tortures an innocent man tied to a rack until he gives up the location of the Druid Grove. Will's reactions are very, very telling of who he is as a person. If you torture the man yourself and succeed in getting the information you need, Will approves. If you tell Will to torture the man, he'll also approve. And he disapproves if you either decide not to torture the man,
Damn it!
or tell Will to stop torturing the man if he is torturing the man already. This, combined with everything else, perfectly shows Will as a chaotic neutral character, willing to do anything to achieve his own goals, even if it goes against the law or even his own moral code.
Kill it.
we've our problems, granted, but there might be some merit in shutting down a local conflict, no?
Finally, we have Gale, whose alignment was the most difficult for me to narrow down. I had thought of many alignments that would fit Gale, such as chaotic good, lawful neutral, and true neutral. However, I have settled on neutral good, as I think that alignment is the closest fit to who Gale is. What made Gale so difficult to narrow down is that sometimes he seems strangely unopinionated compared to the other companions, who are very clear on what actions they think he should take, whereas Gale seems at times to be a neutral bystander, with no strong opinion on some of your more extreme actions.
Whoa! There are a lot of guts to go around in this place. Are you sure you... Never mind. Too late.
However, Gale is consistent in that he always approves of acts of mercy, regardless of who they're directed at, which seems to tie into both the neutral and good sides of his alignment. He approves of saving Arabella from Kaga.
Very well. She may go. Break your word, and my serpent shall feed.
Commends you for rescuing the tiefling child Murkon from a band of harpies at the beach.
Anyway, I'm glad we got that boy out of his predicament. Poor lad would have been harpy feed if it wasn't for us.
And most tellingly, also approves of you saving the goblin Saza. Both times.
I told ya! I was trying to follow orders best I could!
Silence, wretch!
And he disapproves of acts of excessive cruelty, such as helping Will torture the innocent man in the goblin camp.
Scream!
No, please!
You become one with Will.
And siding with the goblins over the tieflings.
Traitor! The blade now comes for you!
Unlike Will, who leaves the party immediately upon siding with the goblins, Gale stays, though his dialogue at the celebration shows he is both distraught and furious. Showing a small clip wouldn't do it justice, so here's the whole conversation.
This is the worst moment. When the screams of the dying have faded, and the conquering hordes howl and yelp as they come to their vile climax. Massacre. A spectacle of slaughter. And I participated. What are these bloody stumps that used to be such delicate harpists of the weave? No. Two shadows are darkening my soul. The shadow within and the shadow without. You led me down this path. Don't blame me for detesting them. I don't know myself anymore. All this, it's not who I am. Around you, I'm not who I want to be. I should leave. Precious little love lost between us, isn't there?
And finally, Gale's more selfless side is shown once again if he dies. Gale has the equivalent of a magical bomb in his chest that will cause an explosion the size of a large city, and will explode if it isn't fed magic regularly. When Gale dies, he could easily just assume he's failed and let whatever consequences happen, but instead he set up a protocol to resurrect him so he can continue to delay the bomb.
Many lives depend on my return to the living within the span of 2 days.
While it is possible this is more selfish, if you ask him what he'll do if he fails to stop the orb from exploding, he'll say this.
I will find the remotest place on the surface of Faerun, or perhaps far below in the depths of the Underdark. I will await that death, alone.
So it is clear he's thinking of innocent lives over his own, hence the good part of his alignment. So Gale's more impartial stance on most of your actions, combined with his desire to show kindness and mercy to others, seems to fit a neutral good alignment very well.
That woman has more venom in her heart than a snake in its fangs. But at least the child is safe. What is youth if not a time to be forgiven for one's transgressions?
So these were my thoughts on each companion's alignment, from the easiest to figure out to hardest to figure out. Thank you for watching.